I'm Jesse Simmons,
I'm Sam White.
and this is Catching Up with the Gatemen. All right, Mr. Sam White,
Yes, sir.
West Virginia Mountaineers catcher infielder. It's good to have you today. Thank you for jumping on with me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So we are out here in Wareham, Massachusetts, but you hail from Aurora, Ontario, Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so I was looking back in it, and so you had the chance to play for the Canadian junior national team.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about that, and being able to represent your country and where your hometown, not only in your country but now in the U.S. at a Power 5 school and here in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest honor I've ever had. I mean, representing Canada. I played Team USA, played Team Japan, Chinese Taipei, all that stuff. And I mean, like, that's the biggest honor you can have. I mean, every rep that I put in, that was basically for my country. I mean, and then to bring it down south, play for West Virginia. I mean, I am the only Canadian on the team right now, but we have a few more coming up.
Unique experience, huh?
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I get kind of made. I don't want to say made fun of, but the guys get at me for being Canadian. I pronounce my words differently. My OUs, I say house, and
Do you speak any French?
Not as much as Johan, but I mean, I know French how most Americans know Spanish.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a perfect layup too. So Johan Desiro at Stetson. Not only is he French, and you guys are on the same team now. You faced him to start the year off at Stetson.
Yes.
You went 3 for 5.
Yes.
You and Johan, have you guys been able? Did you guys know each other before here? And if so, what's that relationship like? Especially being two Canadians, a little bit farther from home as well.
Yeah. So I didn't know Johan until I played him at Stetson, and I kind of only realized that he was from Quebec because of his name, Desiro. I was like, oh, that Johan Desiro, that sounds pretty French. I looked him up, and he turned out to be Canadian. So I think I talked to him a couple times at Stetson, just being like, oh, like, you're from Quebec,
Right.
You're from Trois-Rivières. And like,
I heard it right there in that one word. I heard that accent. I love it.
Yes, a little bit of French, but yeah. So he knows some of my teammates that I played with on the junior national team. So it was a good icebreaker here. We kind of got to talk about where he's from and kind of the guys that he knows. So yeah, it was pretty cool to get to know him.
No, it's pretty cool to be able to not only have someone that you can relate with too, but be able somewhere you can both represent that. And going back to, it was a good layup you gave me there with having success early on. Not only did you do that at Stetson when you first met Johan, but you've done that in the Cape here, 2 for 3 with a homer.
Yes, sir.
Talk about a welcome to the Cape moment. What's something that just gives you so much success early on? For me, it's my faith. For you, maybe what is that off the field, maybe on the field, that gives you some kind of idea to stay focused and locked in?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, first off, I mean, confidence comes from preparation. So I mean, like, I'm a pretty hard worker. I try to put value in every rep that I take. So I mean, when you do that, it's kind of easy to just let the game speak for itself. But I mean, earlier this year, about a week before the season, my grandmother passed away, and that was kind of something that kind of let me just let the game be the game. And it made me realize that, like, every day is not promised.
Right.
And it can be gone like that. So every day that I'm blessed with the opportunity to be out here and play a game that I love, it kind of let me just realize, like, dude, it's just a game. Go out, have fun. It can be gone like that. So it's kind of just let me play a lot more free this year. So that's kind of one thing that I think, away from the field, it kind of taught me a lesson.
Yeah, it really is bigger than baseball too. You hear that all the time, but you're more than an athlete.
Yes.
And there's much more to life than just sports.
Absolutely.
Like I said there, how have you been able to take that and turn it into a positive? To turn it on the field. What have you been doing off the field as well through that to maybe make that an everyday thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I try and look back on every day and kind of see what I did to get better. I mean, I have a journal that I write in every night.
Oh, I love it.
Just kind of writing down, like, all my thoughts. I have a hitting journal as well, where I just kind of write down, like, what did I feel? It was going bad today. Like, what were the differences of what I was thinking in my head, or maybe what I was feeling in my swing. So every night I like to go over that stuff. And I think it's a great way, like if I had a frustrating day, I can basically just chew myself out. And I can be like, dude, you played terrible. You weren't locked in. Like you walked up to the plate, you watched 2 fastballs down the middle, you weren't ready to hit.
Yeah.
Like you gave away an at-bat. And that's something you never ever want to do. That's the most frustrating thing you can do, is give away a rep, give away at-bats. So I think that's something that I do. It holds myself accountable, and it keeps me kind of locked in. I can, like I said, take out all my frustrations, but at the same time I can also say, you know what, you were frustrated after your first at-bat, and then you had a bad second at-bat, and everything kind of compounded, but you know what, you went up for your third, fourth at-bat, and you were saying, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore, like you flushed it. So you did a really good job staying mentally tough there. So I kind of get the best of both worlds with writing down my thoughts, writing down my feelings, stuff like that. So I think that's a great way off the field where I can hold myself accountable.
Big feels guy.
Big feels guy.
Big feels guy.
Yes.
You know, it's pretty cool, especially in the day of baseball today, is everybody's so expressive and they get their thoughts out and they're very confident and flashy with who they are for the majority that we're seeing now. It's funny, I definitely noticed that in you. You're not very emotional on the field. You keep it very, you know, when you're playing good, we don't see it, and when you're playing bad, we don't see it. You know, we don't see that emotion. I think you keep a good, calm, and cool collective. That's why I noticed it, too, at first base. You know, when it's not going right sometimes and you're trying to pick your guys up, you're staying cool, calm, and collected. I like that.
Absolutely.
Now, not only did you, I don't know where you learned that from. Maybe just writing the journal down. Speaking of West Virginia, I'll get into that, too. I don't know if you picked it up from there, but playing with guys like Clark, Weatherholt, those guys that really had a great year.
Yeah.
Is there anything you learned from them? Maybe it was the journal, maybe something else.
I mean,
who else?
Yeah, I mean, like JJ for one, he is obviously going to be like a top 5 pick probably coming up in this draft, and he's a guy, kind of like you said, like you're big into faith, and JJ is a guy like that. I mean, you want to talk about someone who has just tons and tons of pressure on them. And he finds a way to play free, and that's through his faith. I mean, he's a super religious kid, and he says, you know what, I'm playing for the glory of God right now, so you know what, if it's in his will that I go 4 for 4, then it's in his will, and if it's in his will that I strike out 4 times, that's the way it's supposed to be. So I mean, learning from him and how he plays free, that's a really cool thing. Derek Clark, I mean, you want to talk about a bulldog, dude. Like, he's a smaller guy, you know, when he steps off the bus, like, nobody's saying, oh gosh, like, that guy's coming for us, but, you know, he's going to get you. I mean, he's one of the most competitive kids that I've ever, I shouldn't call him a kid because he's older than me, but he's one of the most competitive people that I've ever been around. And, like, hard worker every day. You want to talk about someone who, like, puts everything into every rep they have, doesn't take a rep for granted. Like, watching him work, catching his bullpens at school.
Right.
Like in a bullpen, if he's trying to get a fastball to his glove side and he misses it a little over the plate, like,
you'll know.
he might cuss, something like that. And it's like, it's a Tuesday bullpen, but he takes every rep
seriously and locked in.
And obviously he's done playing now, but the last thing he said to me was, he was like, dude, like, every game, have fun. That's the only thing you can do. So I mean, that's kind of, you need to play free if you want to be good. I mean, you say I'm calm, cool, and collected. Well, that's because it's a game of failure. So it's kind of, you know, I'm supposed to go out there and fail, and he told me to embrace failure. Yeah. Really, because it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
And, you know, game of failures, you know, at West Virginia this year, you guys didn't win your conference, but you came back and you blazed through that first regional tournament. Made it to the super regional. You know, you guys put West Virginia and Morgantown back on the map, consecutive winning seasons and making the tournament since the 60s. Mm-hmm. You know, what does that mean like for you, especially in your coaching his last year? What was that like for you guys to be able to do that, especially in your coach's last year, and just to hear him how much of a winning coach and how much he loves his players? Yeah. What did that mean to you?
Man, it was, Canada was the coolest thing I've ever done, but very, very close second was that season right there. Yeah. We went through so much as a team. JJ gets hurt, tears his hamstring, 4th game of the year. You know, Derek got hurt preseason. We had a bunch of other things that went on. And like Mays just kind of kept telling us, he's like, you guys have a winning record right now. You're playing without some of your top guys. Like, stick with it. We had like 3-4 freshmen in the lineup, and we were winning games. And it kind of showed us that, like, you know, we do have something special here. And it wasn't until maybe the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the season where we were actually back to full strength. And at that point, Mays was like, you guys have worked so hard for everything you have right now. And I think it was after we lost a series before playoffs. And he said, if you had told me after Stetson that we were going to be in a position to compete for the title of Big 12 and that we were going to be going to a regional for sure,
Right.
like I would have said, I will take that 110%. And Mays was kind of a guy that just stuck with it through the whole year. Like he could have panicked and been like, wow, my retirement season, I'm without 2-star players, like all this stuff, this is gonna suck. But he stayed with us. Like he told us how much he loved us really every day. He was our rock like the whole year. He was an incredible coach. And I mean, it meant so much to me to be able to be a part of his last season, or even his last 2 seasons, which were pretty much his best.
You know, I think it's cool to when you can come to a team and be comfortable, but not only have a coach you can get behind. You know, I think that is so important, and especially in the day and age of transfer portal and things like that. You know, what do you think? Like I was saying already, but West Virginia, you know, it's a lot to leave Canada too, and go to a school. What makes it so unique and different to you that just made this year special? Outside of the winning, the culture, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time. I think I tweeted it out. Like, I think West Virginia has the greatest fan base in all of college sports. I mean, we literally bought as many tickets as North Carolina would sell us at that Super Regional. I mean, fans, we had fans greet us when we came back from our regional, and they were all saying, you know, it's LSU or North Carolina. I'm just seeing where I'm going to get my plane ticket. So, I mean, like, they will get behind you no matter what. I mean, like Jace had just committed here, and he told me, he was like, dude, I have never had this many people in a community like DM me or like message me on Twitter, comment on my posts, like all this kind of stuff of West Virginia fans saying how happy they are that I'm there. I mean, like, it's really incredible, because they're a fan base. When stuff goes bad, they're gonna get mad, but like, man, I've never had a group of people so welcoming and proud like the West Virginia community. Sorry, yeah.
I love it. And yeah, shout out to my coach growing up, Coach Mark, too. Big West Virginia Mountaineer, ended up playing for the Blue Jays. I can see how much Morgantown loves baseball and loves people, because he's a guy that loves baseball and people. So, too, with that, you know, it's easy to love your program. Growing up, too, we'll kind of wrap this up here. Hockey.
Yes.
Was that your first love before baseball? You got drafted at one point, had a chance to maybe take a pro hockey career and go that way, but now you're in baseball. What was that like? And give me a little something about that hockey.
Yeah, I mean, hockey, like that's where I met kind of my lifelong friends. I mean, like obviously growing up in Canada, hockey is the sport that everyone plays. It was my first love. I mean, I started playing when I was 5 or 6 years old, like a couple years before I started playing baseball. And yeah, up until I was probably 13 or 14 years old, I was gonna go to the NHL, and that's what that's what I would tell myself. But yeah, like it was. That's what's big around there. Like we wouldn't be getting thousands of fans at our baseball games, you know, growing up in Ontario. But
the rink is where everybody's
at. Yeah,
at.
the rink is where everyone would go to watch everyone play.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, COVID kind of brought baseball to light. Like if COVID wasn't a thing, I don't know if I would have been exposed to like Division I schools or even really gotten down to like World Wood Bat tournaments or anything like that. So COVID's kind of what brought me to baseball, and realizing that, you know, maybe baseball is where that's where I'm gonna take my career. But yeah, so hockey, you know, I still love the sport.
Right. That's a super cool way to, you know, make a positive out of a negative too with COVID. Mm-hmm. Do you still go back home and pick up the stick when you're home at all?
Sometimes. When I go home for winter break, like the team will go out, or not the team, sorry, but like me and a couple friends, like on New Year's Eve, we'll go out and we'll just spend New Year's Eve on like the outdoor rink or something like that. They definitely blow past me because they still play junior hockey and I don't, but I'm just happy to be out there at that point.
Hey, I think it's a little bit of bragging rights. You can still say that, you know, you had a chance one time if you really invested in it. But I think you got a baseball career coming up hot in your own, too.
I hope so.
And so for those, as we wrap it up here, for those that don't know you, they see you on the field playing, someone that wants to meet you. I got a question for you. I asked Brendan, so I got to keep it fair and ask you, too. Who is Sam White, for those who don't know?
Wow. I mean, I would like to say I'm a very kind person. I think every day I kind of just want to bring the same like good energy, you know. Man, who is Sam White? Yeah, I think most of all I'm just a kind person.
Yeah.
Like I like to think I have a bring. I'm probably the biggest dog lover you'll ever meet. You'll see me when there's dogs lined up. I'll pet every single one of them. So I think, really, if there was two things you needed to know about me, is that I'm a very kind, loving person, and I absolutely adore dogs. That's pretty much it.
So Sam White is a dog lover, a baseballer, could pick up a puck and still play and maybe in the NHL one day, but above all, he's just a good person. So Sam White, thank you again for jumping on today. It was awesome. What do you want to add?
One
right
more
there?
thing, I need to shout out my Aunt Wendy and my Uncle Mike and my parents because they are in Canada right now, and they told me to shout them out. So I love you guys.
He said it all, folks. I couldn't have said it any better. And so I'm Jesse Simmons with Sam White, and this was Catching Up with the Gatemen.